Good afternoon, everyone. This is Captain Ando, and we have a new patch that's been released today. That is the next generation content. You should see the Enterprise D as your login screen if you have all your updates complete. So make sure if you're not seeing that, but only hearing the music, you go ahead and get that update because there's a lot of content that's been added to the game, and you'll want to make sure you have access to all of it. And without the update, you might not. So first of all, there's a bunch of new events out. First of all, there's the Battle Pass. You can get the $20 version or the $100 version. The $20 version one still unlocks that's what I got, the Elite row. So make sure you're getting that. If you get the $100 Battle Pass, it'll give you a little bit more advancement along this early because it'll get you some Battle Pass tokens, I believe, and it will give you some more content like access to some of these rare and epic officers that have been released with this patch. So now there's also the Battle Pass event, the Hostile Hunt. Go ahead and knock that out. That's very important. You keep doing the Battle Pass every day because that will give you access to the Overflow rewards as well, which include a lot of Latinum and recruit tokens. So make sure you keep working down that direction and access to the new missions that come along the way as well. So now there's also some have to do with some of the new content that's available. First of all, there's the away teams milestone. Now, this is an alliance milestone. We've already completed it. Good job for those that have put in the effort already. But that's just from building the shuttle bay and upgrading it. And that gives us access to some pretty good rewards, as well as a new avatar, if people like that sort of thing. Now, the next thing that you have access to are some single milestones that are available to you, and that's from doing the research. Now there's a brand new research tree dedicated to this. Gives you access to some more officer shards and some more G3 and G4, very valuable, as well as an elite one, which gives you access to a new frame as well as more rewards. So make sure you're working both expeditiously, and that also gives you a higher placement on a leadership board. So there's not a leadership board. That gives you another rare avatar. That's just things to be aware of. So now, new content here. There's also some missions that you are familiar with from previous. That stuff you get to do, and you'll be seeing a lot of help. So you'll see me click on the little purple help icon because a lot of people are doing some building throughout this. So now, new content. First thing you want to be aware of is the new shuttle bay. If you're not seeing that, you want to make sure that you have your patch updated, because if you don't see it, that's probably the case. So you want to build it up and keep leveling it, because that will give you access to the next new item, which is the research tree. Now, the research tree is available to everyone, but the very first item, the away team shuttlecraft mission, will not unlock until you have a shuttle bay of level 1. And further research as you go down the tree will require more advanced levels of research. And this particle is something you get by completing the away team missions. So that's something we'll get into in a second here. But as you can see, there's a nice long tree of new content. I won't get into it all today, but it looks like a lot of good stuff that's out there for you that helps you improve your game, including your ship strength and other things. So now, new content, away team missions. This is very important. This is something to understand. You will get a series of away team missions based on the amount of research that you've done. At first, you'll get access to a couple of common ones, but as you keep building, you'll be able to get newer missions for better rewards. Now, when you look at these missions on the right here, you'll see some things like key stats. Key stat in this is attack, defense, and health. So if you weren't aware already, all your officers have certain levels of attack, defense, and health. So you want to make sure that you use specifically your attack-oriented officers when you're trying to run this mission. So now, high attack staff officer happens to be Barat. I'm not using him currently. I'm going to go ahead and plug him in here. And you can see that brought me all the way up to 89% chance of success. So when you build a character that has higher key stats, that will advance the chances of success higher. Next one I have free is Mara. I'm going to go ahead and plug her in. And we're all the way up to 100. So now I can literally take any low stat officer and plug them into that last position, and it'll be just fine. Okay, Troy, here you go. Now, on that note, new officers that are available. We have new next generation officers that have been released with this patch. Some of them you will get from the gifts. So when you get the gifts here to get your shuttle bay shards, you'll also get a pack that gives you access to basically all the common next generation officers for free. So you'll see basically the season 1 next generation bridge officers other than Picard are all in here. And they basically read similar to a lot of your cadets. So all these stats boost your stat levels or your very low percentage. You're not going to want to use these for very advanced functions, but if you're a lower level player like 10s, 20s, you'll probably get some usage out of these, or they can just be used to run away missions as well. But you'll have Data. You have Data, Geordi, Crusher, and Troy, and Riker. And the stats will look very similar to those you who are familiar with the cadet, the cadet movie officers. Now, there's also some rares and epics. So we have Beverly Crusher. She's a new rare officer. She actually looks like she has some viability. Her first ability, captain ability, do no harm. She's basically operating like a Spock. So that will get boosted by synergy. It starts at 200% of the shield health of all officers on the ship. So if you boost that up with Data and Geordi, that will go even higher. And she'll operate just like Spock. She'll boost up your shields every single round. It's a way to be able to run an armada without having Kirk Spock present. Because this is specifically for hostiles and armadas. And her secondary ability is Unshakable Moral Code, very similar to Moreau. So hostiles and armadas, she boosts your defense stats up, your mitigation stats. I'm sorry. Now the next one is Data. Very good ability in the sense you get critical chance, but I wouldn't run him as captain necessarily. It'd be a very high critical chance capability, so if you're really looking for that damage output, maybe on a Saladin, he might be a better choice for captain than Crusher. But if you're just looking to survive the armada, you definitely want to do Crusher, because she gives that shield health restoration, and that way you can free up your Kirk Spock for other things. Excuse me. His bridge officer's efforts yield to its own rewards. A lot of these, if you've seen a lot of the Next Generation, it's very similar to episodes. But when fighting non-player targets, he increased the penetration stats of your ship by 60%. So that's going to make this a good red killer. Probably good for board space. Not really sure yet. Haven't gotten to use them and unlock them and use them. Field Strip Fusion Reactor for Geordi or LaForge. That basically gives you better rewards. Something you may run if you feel like you got the armadas on lock. But otherwise, survivability might be your priority with Crusher. And the Mind's Eye, which gives increased weapon damage against Klingon hostiles specifically. So he'd be very good if you're out against those Klingon Reds for PvE, or just regular Klingon hostiles. I bet he would be a good choice. I think we're probably going to see some other stats boost as we see the other rare and epic officers, maybe uncommon next generation officers released in future patch updates. So that's the new officers in a nutshell. The last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is your officer pool. Now, to do these away team missions like we showed you here, you need to use more of your officers than you, and you probably already have them assigned to your different ships. So what you can do here is consider stripping down some of the lower decks of your ships to reach the minimums. You want to get the 300% stats in the case of the Enterprise. So notice I just leave 3 of the belly slots, the underdeck slots, unmanned. And that's because I still have the 300%. Now, the 300% attack, defense, and health, that will give me my max strength of the ship. It's going to have the best stats available. Kirk's leader ability, morale, it doesn't have any condition where I need more of any stat. Same thing with Gorkin's hull breach. Same thing with Kirk's morale boost. Same thing with Khan's critical chance increase. So I can run this crew just fine and operate just as if those slots were filled. Now, on ships like my Vidar, I do a little differently. Now, and that's specifically because of who's captain right now, or because of who's in the bridge officer slot. Weaponry is of relevant is an ability that increases the shield deflection, armor, and dodge by 200% of the total health of all officers on the ship. So what? Even though if I took McCoy away right now, I'd still be at 350%. Because this weaponry is a relevant ability, requires more health to be more effective, I added McCoy back in there to max out that value as much as possible. So I run my Vidar with a full crew to make sure that I have all the stats available. And my miners, just think about it. What are they doing out there? They're just mining for you. You really only need the bridge officer slots. So in this case, I have the 3 officers I run on my Cavort bridge. I can send this out and deploy this out and mine the same way, whether I have full stats or if I have, in this case, 150, 240, 270. I don't need all those officer stats to be effective at mining. So I can deploy this out just fine with the current ratings, and it'll do its job just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and start working my way to some 4-star crystal in my normal location, and I'll deploy it that way. And it'll mine at the same rate as it would if I had all the officers there. So the same thing for my Valkis. I can switch it out to a ship that has all the officer slots, just to make sure you can reach all the underbelly, and you can just click them out of there. No reason to have a miner with all your officers there. And what that does is that frees away a lot more officers for away teams. You can send out your miners at minimum strength to do the job they need to do. You can reposition them to be the best at the job they're doing. In this case, I'm going to mine some oxygen, so I'll go ahead and park it next door in beta space and mine some 2-star, and it'll operate just as if it was operating with a full crew on board. So those are just tips and tricks you can use to better your performance out there. Just some thoughts. But yeah, keep building those shuttle bays, keep working your research to get those events, and keep those away teams going, because this will become very competitive around that. And it seems like a lot of fun to me. I'm enjoying this content so far. I haven't had it very long. There's a lot to cover, but it's been enjoyable to date. So that's all I have for now. This is Captain Ando. I am the Dark Star Strategist. Live long and prosper. Signing out.